Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending a little time with me today. I'm just really looking forward to this opportunity to connect with our South Jersey business community and some of the key leaders, frankly, in our state, to share some information with you about the latest COVID relief package that I'm extraordinarily excited about what it's going to do for our state, bringing critically needed revenue here. And as I look to the future, I'm really hopeful that this next big infrastructure push is going to help South Jersey, giving a better platform for further economic strength and excellence. But right now, you all know that I'm a member of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. Thank you to the people of New Jersey for giving me another term in the Senate now that I'm rising in even more seniority on that committee and influence. I know that we are still working our way through a pandemic, which has not only seen such grievous loss of life, but has threatened the livelihoods all across our state of so many Americans. It's really important to me that as we have acted in Congress, that you all have a knowledge of the resources that are out there and have the ability to seize them, which is just something that I know is urgent at a time that we've seen the devastating impact of this pandemic in our local economies across South Jersey, with small businesses in particular really being hit the worst. The data is frankly chilling. 1 in 3 New Jersey restaurants, for instance, was closed down as of November 2020, and that number could grow as we just continue to experience the lingering effects of this crisis. And so Senator Menendez and I were able to really shape this package to be at the table with the White House, the House, and obviously in the Senate, making a bill available with elements available that I think are going to have a tremendous impact on New Jersey, and from the increased PPP funds to relief for restaurants and venues to direct stimulus checks and increasing unemployment insurance. There are a lot of elements that I want to highlight here for you that could be critical for helping families and businesses make it through the rest of this crisis. And so amongst the replenishment of certain funds, the extensions on existing programs, New Jersey's really has a chance to benefit. And so very specifically now, the bill provides $7.25 billion for PPP and extends eligibility. So more nonprofits in our communities are also available, as well as digital news outlets in our state, which are so critical to South Jersey as well. The bill is going to provide another $15 billion in what those EIDL loans and forgivable grants. It's the Economic Injury and Disaster Loan Program for hard-hit communities. And to help people understand how to access those funds, this was an important mission of mine. We were able to direct about $175 million for the creation of a community navigator pilot program, so the smallest businesses in particular don't get left out of these opportunities. And so chambers of commerce will actually be eligible to apply to become navigators, to get the resources necessary, because you already have connections to community that are essential for small businesses to get the help they deserve. And so I'm encouraging any chamber directors on this call who are interested in applying for that grant funding to reach out to my office so we can help you to not only learn more, but connect to those resources. And especially folks that are working in communities that are in rural areas that have high immigrant populations or minority populations, there's a lot of resources available for you. And we fought hard, another kind of in the trench work that we were able to do for especially those of us in New Jersey who know that there's a lot of venues that were for banquet halls, for concerts and more. The fact that we won this $1.25 billion for something that's called the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant Program is really going to help with the live event industry in our state, which has been so severely impacted by this pandemic. And then again, something I would show you my happy dance. I did it after that we won this victory. You do not want to see my happy dance. But when we succeeded in getting $28.6 billion in relief to create the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which is a grant program for restaurants and bars, so that they could have more financial support they need to make it out of this pandemic. This is huge for New Jersey restaurants, from our mom and pop restaurants, pizza joints, to some of the bars that are critical to our communities, anchors in our communities. This is incredible news. And we know that as this is April 1st, this is no joke. We hope to get this program stood up this month, and I'm working with the administration to get it done. There's other elements, though, of the American Rescue Plan that are going to bring hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to South Jersey. The one that I was probably most involved with, me, Senator Bennett from Colorado, Senator Brown from Ohio, the three of us teamed up to really push to get a massive expansion of the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit to provide even more financial relief to hardworking New Jersey and nationally American families and small business owners. This is going to be one of the biggest tax reliefs for working families in the history of our country. It's going to be so big that for low-income working families, it'll actually cut poverty for children in this country by half. It will be so significant. And if you add that, an increase of the child tax credit, fully refundable from $2,000 to $3,600 for young children, you add that to direct stimulus checks that I was pushing for from the beginning, those $1,400 checks. What that can mean to a family of four in New Jersey is a significant increase, upwards of a 20% increase of revenue to individual families. That is just so material to our country and to our state and to South Jersey in particular. On top of that, as I've talked to so many of our 565 mayors, having been a mayor myself, we were able to win in this bill $350 billion for local, county, and state governments that have really been crippled by the pandemic. Funding will be going to every county and municipality in New Jersey and has a lot of flexibility, which as a former mayor, I know flexible dollars are the best dollars that could be put to use on a wide range of uses. And we already saw how in New Jersey, some local leaders and counties have used their flexible dollars to help with business assistance programs. And that's something that is an acceptable use as well. And so I'm very happy that state and local governments are going to be allocated about $8 billion specifically in small business funding, which is going to help as well. So there's a lot in this bill, including efforts to continue to expand on these efforts. I've been working on both sides of the aisle in Washington with some really great partners to push for more relief for our main streets, knowing that this is going to be a long-term recovery, and there's some hope there that I have. But just in conclusion, I want to let you all know that we are not out of the woods yet, and our businesses are going to be very significantly impacted. But I am grateful in my conversations with the president's team and my friendships, frankly, with President Biden and Kamala Harris, that they are really looking forward to helping to create more jobs by investing in what this United States used to be known from FDR and Eisenhower all the way to Kennedy. We created the greatest middle class on the planet Earth, the largest expansion, because we used to invest in people, education, and infrastructure and R&D. And I know the commitment that we have to do that in this next bill could bring billions of dollars to our communities for really critical infrastructure projects. And in South Jersey, from rail extension to repairs of roads and bridges to broadband penetration and more, this could be a big boon to create a platform for entrepreneurial and business thriving and excellence into the future. And that's really what I'm hard at work at. And so I'm looking forward to the conversation. I have my staff on this call. If your questions are not answered, we are very available. As we were joking before, my team is working very, very long hours to make ourselves available to every type of New Jersey group, from our nonprofits to our local governments to our businesses to our educational institutions. This is a full court press because a lot of this money is competitive, and we want Jersey to access these streams. Our state gives too much to the federal government not to get money, full resources back in a time of crisis like we're facing right now. And the leaders on this call are critical, in my opinion, for us to truly be successful in accessing a lot of these streams of revenue that we fought so hard to include into this bill. And so with that, I'm looking forward to your questions, and thank you all for being on.
All right, thank you, Senator. We're gonna start with some questions. Folks, if you have additional questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll follow up with you after the call if we're not able to answer on the call today. So we'll start off with Michael Chait of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce, and he's got 2 questions today.
Morning, Senator. Thank you, Mackenzie. Greatly appreciate your time today. It's a great crowd, and your work is certainly very much appreciated. I'm sure we can all agree to that. But you mentioned the SVO grant a little bit earlier, and obviously with Atlantic County and Atlantic City being so heavily reliant on tourism and entertainment and events, the grant itself, we've discussed it multiple times, has done a lot of good. But unfortunately with that grant, it left out a lot of the service providers that supply the industry, and they're having a really hard time just getting employees back to work and ramping up in order to provide the services needed to get events going as capacity's going. We were thrilled to see that 2 of the recommendations we had that you advocated for, of including them in PPP, and then also expanding the eligibility of them is tremendously helpful. But with capacity still reduced, how do you help this specific industry segment that so much of our region is reliant upon?
Yeah, first of all, just thank you in particular for connecting my team to some of the members that are going through these challenges. Again, the more I can connect, and my office can connect directly with some of these businesses, the more we can give them now, which is a menu of opportunities to help. And I know there's been some challenges with the rollout of the program, which really helps us go back to the administration and get them to address those challenges and those problems. So the first thing I would say is continuing to help us connect to people that are not just facing frustrations, but really needing help. The second thing is, again, I've designed bipartisan legislation that we continue to push to help ensure that communities with sort of unique local economies like Atlantic City can find ways to stand up their own relief programs that fit the needs of their communities. And my proposal with Senator Daines from Montana would create a $50 billion fund to help cities like Atlantic City and counties like your county create these seed programs. And that's something I'm really still fighting for. So this goes for everybody on this call. The great positioning that I have now in the Senate on the committees that I'm on is I'm in a lot of conversations with the administrative agencies, from the SBA to Treasury, and we are still working to design actively programs that are coming down the pike. Put us in play as much as you can in conversations with businesses and the local needs of communities. And Atlantic City's been a city we've been able to help a lot, from the threats to losing first responders all the way to a lot of folks who've been facing layoffs to get them extension of everything from unemployment to other services. So please overuse my team, and we're going to help in every way we can.
Appreciate that, Senator. Your team, like I said, Mackenzie joined us on a call with a number of event professionals, and it was tremendous being able to provide that information and connect you with some of them. So thank you so much for that. The other question that I have is really related to a potential next stimulus bill. I've read in some articles that there could be, another stimulus bill in the summer, and as we're potentially looking at a 4th wave during the pandemic, unfortunately. But what do you see, or what do you want to see in that next bill? And what are some of your top economic priorities for, longer term growth and rebuilding the economy after or during this pandemic?
I'm so grateful for that question, because as a kind of a free market capitalist guy, I know what has made America the most competitive economy on the planet. We were a nation that for generations invested in America to make us globally competitive. We invested in the education of our youth, from GI bills to get a whole generation of people in college. In fact, we were the number one country on the planet Earth, 40s, 50s, 60s, for percent of our population with graduate degrees, college degrees per capita. We're no longer that. We're not even in the top 10 anymore because of the cost of college. We were the number one infrastructure on the planet Earth, just in the quality of roads, bridges, airports, for generations, thanks to Republican, Democratic presidents who led that unprecedented investment that we saw in humanity. Well, now we are not even in the top 10 in the quality of our infrastructure. China's built 18,000 miles of high-speed rail. And we know in South Jersey the challenges we're having with just getting kind of rail access to our critical population centers. We used to be the best R&D country on the planet Earth. In terms, R&D intensivity is measured as a percentage of your GDP you invest in the innovations of the future. Up to the 70s and 80s, our American innovations created innovations in industries that we couldn't even imagine. In fact, my iPhone here is a great example of this. From the touch screen to the battery life to the GPS, all of that was from our common investments that set a platform up for businesses and industries to thrive. We have fallen short from the 80s on in sustaining that level of investment. We know if we were running this like a business, America Inc., every dollar we invest in things like infrastructure in our region returns more than more than 100% return in the economic growth that is triggered by that. And so as a guy that believes in, if you invest in America, America will pay dividends for everyone in the global economy as well as the local economy, I want this bill to be about what our ancestors, the greatest generation, the baby boomers, did well up until my generation came on the scene in the 80s, that just stopped investing in that. And what have we seen? A stratification of wealth, working class people having less real income. We've got to get back to that kind of investment. So I want big infrastructure, Eisenhower level infrastructure investments. Remember, Eisenhower's investment would have been $1 trillion in today's money. We need to get back to doing that. It creates jobs right now. It creates a platform for businesses to thrive. And so that's the first thing I'm saying is, let's not be small. We know I could take you around New Jersey and show you crumbling overpasses and bridges. Let's do that first big. Number two, let's invest in the most valuable natural resource any nation has in the global knowledge-based economy. And that's the genius of our children. We have a shameful distinction amongst developed nations of having the highest child poverty rates. Poor children cost us so much money. They have higher medical costs, more likely to be engaged with the police department. In fact, every dollar you spend on getting a kid above the poverty line actually saves taxpayers about $5, including increasing their earnings over time. So one of the things I want to say, just as an example of that, is we need to fully fund and make permanent the child tax credit changes that we were able to win in this bill. It would cut child poverty in half. If you get a child with that kind of economic security, you're planting seeds that will reap a harvest for everybody. And then the last thing I will say, the big stuff, is making sure we get back to being a research and development nation so that we are leading the innovations of the future. New Jersey, we know this, from North Jersey to South Jersey, we are the innovation state, from our biotech companies to our colleges and universities that are leading the way on innovation and research. New Jersey is well positioned if we do that. Now, I have a lot of other concerns, like I am going to fight brass knuckles in the trenches to get our state and local tax deduction back here in New Jersey. We are a giver state, but that state and local tax deduction helps to create fairness, and I'm going to really, really fight for that. I'm going to fight for our state to get critical environmental infrastructure investments. We have too many Superfund sites in the state of New Jersey. We need to get those cleaned up. We have too many lead service lines that are hurting our states because our children have dirty water, and we need to have big transit projects that are prioritized above every other one, like tunnels under the gateway and the like. So there's New Jersey priorities, Route 42. My God, you all know this urgency that we have in South Jersey. So I've got my New Jersey priorities, and I've got my national competitiveness priorities. And the last example I'll give you of that, we in America, there's something called the World Economic Forum that ranks countries in terms of the competitiveness of their economies. We dominated that list. We were the number one most competitive economy. We're not there anymore. And their indices that they use to measure competitiveness are things I've already mentioned: the quality of your infrastructure, the quality of your education systems. But it's also one of the indices they have of competitiveness of your economy is the ability for your political system to be able to get things done. We need to get things done in Congress so that states like ours, who have the highest education, best public education in the country, states like ours that have great centers of higher learning, states like ours that sit in the best economic region between Philly and New York, that we can be given the tools we need for our businesses, our innovators, our entrepreneurs to thrive. And that's what I'm committed to. And I'm sorry for the long answer. I've gotten my staff mad at me now, but go ahead with the next question.
All right. Next up, we have Jennifer Jones with a question from Salem County Chamber of Commerce. Jennifer, I think you may be on mute.
Or she's afraid to ask me a question given my long-winded answers.
Sorry about that. Senator, thank you for doing this today. This is very much appreciated. As you know, Salem County we have the smallest population in the state. So fluctuations seem to hurt us more than other places. We have a small population. Could you expand a little bit more on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund? Because, our restaurants having to be closed a full 3 months and then only being able to serve takeouts, it's really been devastating for them. So, as well as it has for the other small mom and pop stores that we have here. So can you just expand a little bit on that, a little bit more on that, how they'll gain access to it?
Yeah, as a guy who had one of my best pasta meals since I've been a senator down in Salem County, Yes, I'm very concerned about restaurants across our state. Look, we know nationally right now it's upwards of 1 in 6 restaurants have had to close permanently due to this crisis. This is a loss for our nation of 2.4 million jobs. And in New Jersey, unfortunately, it's going to be between 30 to 40% of our restaurants. Think about that and what it does, not just to the jobs and economic activity, but all of us who are Jersey, who when you cut us, we bleed Jersey. We know how valuable to the culture of our state is our restaurants and our gathering places. And so this is something that was a mission of mine. And the great thing is I found people on both sides of the aisle who value their restaurants enough. So from the PPP program to the EIDL loans, these are big opportunities. But the biggest thing I want to do, which was one of the biggest wins that I felt we got in this for New Jersey, was just the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Again, it's $28.6 billion, and it's going to provide grant assistance that restaurants don't have to pay back. And then funding in that program is set aside for the smallest mom and pop businesses. I just heard from the SBA that they expect, again, this program to be rolling out this month. And again, I don't care how small, if it's a sole proprietorship, if they're having frustrations, please reach out to us, because every restaurant we can keep afloat in New Jersey is not only important for our economy, but God, it's important for the culture of our state. So we have a great website. I want everybody to keep an eye on the COVID-19 relief options page on our website. We're going to keep updating it regularly. It's already, our page is being turned to tens of thousands of times, and we're going to be posting a lot of this information, but do not hesitate in this crisis period, in the month of April, to please overuse the telephone calling us to connect us with people in need in Salem County. And I hope to get back down there and contribute to the economy of Salem County by getting some more pasta.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to start a small business selling those American flag pictures, I would like to be your first customer.
You might receive that in the mail.
All right.
I might send that to you.
As long as it's under my ethics gift laws, nothing over $200 I can accept.
Well, it was painted by me, so it's worth about 50 cents.
All right. Next up, we have Hillary Chebra of Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey.
Hi, Senator. Thank you so much for doing this today. We appreciate your time. My first question is, back in February, President Biden had established a 14-day exclusive PPP loan application period for businesses and nonprofits that had fewer than 20 employees. And this was really helpful to our members. It gave lenders and community partners more time to work with these really small businesses to be able to submit their applications. Do you know if there are plans for more assistance like this targeted to these very small businesses to give them a chance to really get the resources they need and compete with the larger businesses that are looking for resources?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a priority for me, that the smallest of businesses don't get left behind. And so, I got a good group of senators on the Small Business Committee to really lead the charge for PPP funding to be segregated, to be set aside for distribution through community lenders, so that the smallest of our businesses would not have to rely on establishment banks to access that funding. And so we've created programs like the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which I mentioned, the SVO grant program. Again, all have funds specifically set aside for small businesses. And so we have a window coming up, which I think is just an opportunity for our small business to seize on this. But so one is we've got to move fast, and I really rely on leaders like you to help get the word out. And then I'm going to do everything I can, because I know this program will be drained really quickly. And it's not going to be enough. It's a lot of money, and it's going to help save a lot of New Jersey businesses. But I want to see it continue, and I'm trying to work to get to assemble senators to get the will to continue the program and hopefully have another refunding. But we can't wait for that. We need to seize what's there as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much, Senator. And my last question for you is something we've heard a lot from our Shore community members on, is the Bridge USA J-1 visa applicants. They supplement a lot of the workforce in these Shore communities during the tourist season, which we hope will be a robust one this year. Your office was gracious enough to send a letter urging President Biden to rescind former President Donald Trump's ban on seasonal employee-sponsored exchange visas, and it asked President Biden to direct the consulates to resume timely processing of these non-immigrant visas. Do you expect this ban to be rescinded before the summer season begins? I know the traditional Jersey Shore summer season starts Memorial Day weekend, which is quickly approaching, but the very important July 4th holiday season is a big one, and we want to make sure that these Shore community businesses have the workforce they need.
Yeah, I confess to you, in 2013, I became the senator for our state in Halloween. In the months before Halloween, I didn't know what a J-1 visa was. And it was Shore businesses that took me by the ear and right away educated to me about how valuable the J-1 visa program was, and how screwed up our immigration laws are, and the restrictions on this program. And then, dear God, we had a ban from the Trump administration on this. So the great news is the ban actually expired on this week, on Wednesday. And thankfully, thanks to a lot of lobbying and you guys educating and empowering a senator to be a great advocate these previous years, President Biden didn't hold it against me that I accused him of smoking marijuana in a presidential debate. But he joyfully chose not to renew that ban. And so I'm grateful for my South Jersey Shore businesses I patronized you all a lot in my early days when I had a beautiful afro and used to hang out on the Jersey Shore. But now you guys have helped me become a better advocate. And we're going to do everything we can, not just to make sure that these visas stay, but there should be reforms to the program because I know how vital it is for our seasonal work. And so I know that I hope, I plan on it, it'll be one angry senator that the State Department is going to resume processing these visas quickly, and that pending any sort of COVID-related travel restrictions, that these folks will be able to come back and play their role when our shore season starts. This is a critical component to what is, as you know, one of the most vibrant parts of the New Jersey economy, the Jersey Shore. I definitely don't want us to lose any traction to those dirty, terrible competitors of ours, as I tell Senator Chris Coons and Carper down in those Delaware beaches. We know the best beaches in this region, and we want to keep those economies thriving, especially coming out of this pandemic.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate it. And we really do hope that these are prioritized. The backlog is worrisome, and we thank you for your work on this.
Yeah, thank you. And keep empowering me. It's good to hear from your organization, as well as, frankly, just the businesses themselves. And I hope to be down there on the shore. I don't think I've seen the sun in a long time, so I'm looking forward to getting out.
All right, we are over time. I saw there's some questions in the chat. I will follow up with folks who have asked questions in the chat. Senator, would you like to say a word or two before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, the word is we all know it. We are strong in New Jersey when we work together, stand together, and fight together. And in a time where the national news is capturing a lot of the divisions in our country, we are a state that wants to show a different way. We are a united people. And I know that if we are able to continue to endure this time of challenge, that we're going to emerge out of this, showing the nation what it means to be Jersey strong. And so I'm just grateful. I feel like one of the more blessed senators in America because I've got leaders like you who are showing our capacity to find common ground and to advance the common good. And so I'm just proud to be able to serve you and want to do it as much as possible during these difficult times. So if there's anything you should take away, is my team is all hands on deck, very, very focused on doing what we can to help folks. And if your question didn't get answered, I'm looking at you, Celeste, with your hand up. Please reach out to my team, and we will be responsive. So thank you, everybody.